So what you're looking at here are my colour swatch strips for my acrylic inks, and this is something that I do every time that I get a new set of colours. It might look quite simple at a first glance, just rows of little blobs, but it's actually one of the most useful parts of my process. The main reason that I create these swatches is to really understand the colours that I'm working with before I start using them in a full piece. Acrylic inks can vary a lot in opacity, flow, intensity, and the way that they look in the bottle or even on the label is often quite different from how they actually behave on paper. So this gives me a clear and honest reference. On the first strip, I paint each colour at full strength, and I just place a small round blob of ink directly onto the watercolour paper. I try and keep them fairly consistent in size so that I can compare them easily. And this strip is all about seeing the pure pigment, its depth, its undertone, and whether it leans more towards transparent or opaque. Then on the second strip is the one that I'm actually doing now, I actually do something slightly different. For each colour that I create a gradient, starting with that same rich concentrated application and then gradually fading it out. I usually do this by adding a bit of water and then pulling the ink across the paper so that I can see how it thins out. And what I'm looking for here is how the colour transitions and how it softens and how transparent it becomes, and whether any subtle undertones appear as it is diluted. This gradient strip is especially important because acrylic inks are often used in layers or washes. So understanding that full range from bold and saturated to very light and transparent helps me to predict how they'll behave when I'm building up a piece. Another reason that I love doing this is that it becomes a really practical reference library. Instead of guessing or testing colours mid-project, I can just look back at these strips and immediately see what I need. It saves time, and it also helps me to make much more intentional choices with the colours. I also pay attention to how the inks interact with the paper itself. Even on the same surface, the different pigments can behave differently. Some might stain more than others, and some might granulate slightly, and others might even dry very flat and smooth. These swatches capture all of that, and honestly, there's something really satisfying about the process too. It's slow and quite methodical, and it also gives me a chance to connect with the materials without the pressure of creating a finished piece. It's almost like a warm-up or a way of getting to know each colour a bit better. So even though these strips might seem a little of a small step, they're actually quite an important foundation for everything that I do afterwards. They help me work more confidently and more intuitively, and with a much clearer understanding of what each colour can do. And here you can see my finished strips, the ones with the full pigment and then the ones with the gradient, as you can see here.